The fans' reaction after the game yesterday, we stayed behind for 25, 30 minutes partying. It felt like a New Year's Eve party because, you know, on New Year's, you're celebrating the end of one year, the start of another. You've got your resolutions, you can start afresh, wipe the slate clean, go again. You've got all the aspirations and the optimism around what will happen to you in this next period of your life. And I think that the fans yesterday were celebrating not relief like in the Arsenal game, but belief that this club, this team, under this owner, or sorry, under this manager, can do things. Morning everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. There's Bugsy Malone doing the things that she loves with the people that she loves doing them with, I think. I hope she loves me. Are you doing the things you love? I hope you were. Hope you are. Surely yesterday you definitely were. What a day to be a Tottenham fan. If you were at the stadium, then I'm sure you feel a little bit emotionally drained this morning because of the party-like vibes, the atmosphere afterwards. We're going to talk all about that, and I'm going to try and squeeze into this 10-minute video as much about the actual game itself as possible. But before I do, I want to talk a bit more about the kind of external factors. Before we get into that, please hit the like button for me on the video like you always do. Please hit the subscribe button on the channel if you haven't already. 15,300 or so have gone before. Welcome back to all of them. Welcome to the new. Please also drop a comment and let me know your thoughts on what happened yesterday. I mean, an amazing game, guys. First and foremost, I want to say a massive shout out to Barry, who made the day awesome. I went and picked him up. We drove together. I left the house at midday, got back at midnight. A very long day, but spent it in some very cool company. Also got to meet so many of you guys who watch the channel, who maybe saw me in and around the stadium or in the bars beforehand, you know, coming over and saying hello, introducing yourself. Really cool of you. Really appreciate it. It's very nice to meet the kind of faces behind the names who drop comments and who say hello. So massive shout out to all you guys. Really enjoyed meeting you guys, and hopefully we'll meet some more as the season goes on. But yeah, the stadium, guys, the atmosphere. I've got to be honest, I felt like it was something that I hadn't experienced for a long time. A lot of people were comparing yesterday to the Arsenal game from the season before last when we won 3-0. And whilst you could make the comparisons around the noise in the stadium was probably, you know, comparable. The fact that we beat a rival, the fact that, you know, it was a top 4 rival, a top 6 rival, etc. All of those things are certainly similar and comparable. But I actually would make the argument that the vibe, the energy, the specifics of the energy were very different. Again, the Arsenal game, that was at the end of a season that had been fairly exhausting, where we'd gone back and forth. It was the first season under Conte ball. You know, we hadn't started well. We picked up points where we shouldn't have done. We dropped points where we shouldn't have done. We seemingly had fourth in our hands. Then it looked like we'd lost it and Arsenal were going to steal it from us and we were going to be called bottle jobs. But then that particular game was the catalyst for them to start bottling it. And of course it was Arsenal. It was our arch rivals. So much pride and bragging rights and mudding opportunities were on the line for that game and for the season's outcome. It was tribalistic. It was warfare. It was brutal. The energy was brutal. Gary Neville described it as Arsenal were brutalised by the Tottenham fans. I don't feel like yesterday it was like that. Yesterday it was a party atmosphere. It wasn't the end of the season where it was based more on relief that we'd done it, that we hadn't choked, and that in fact Arsenal had. It was more based on belief that something amazing could be developing here. It's the start of a season, a new manager who says everything that you want him to say in the perfect amount of words, in every question, every answer to every question that he has to face. He's got a young team of players I mean, the average age on the pitch yesterday could only have been 23 and a half. I don't know if that's true, but and that would have been propped up, maybe 24, but propped up by players like Sonny, on the pitch, and Maddison, who were a little bit older. But everybody else, I mean, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Pedro Porro, Kulusevski, Sarr. I mean, there's so much youth, so much potential, so much enthusiasm and adaptability that is being presented by this squad. And then when you take that and you go into the season, and most people have expectations that are fairly muted at this point, or did. Maybe after tomorrow or after yesterday, things have changed. But going into that game, I think most people, going into the season generally, most people would have taken a top half finish, but not much more expectation beyond that, just to see better football, maybe have a bit of a cup run. But really, people were putting their expectations to one side and just wanting to kind of build something. And very few people, I think, were expecting us to pull out the performance that we did against Brentford. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good start. We could have won the game, should have won the game. And then yesterday, to do that to Manchester United. All right, a Manchester United team that have got their own significant issues. And I spent most of this morning listening to Manchester United fan channels, their takes. And they're angry. They're angry with the club. They're angry with their manager. They're angry with the stubbornness of the system. It does feel quite reminiscent of how Tottenham fans felt about Conte last season. Roy Keane made the kind of nasty, disrespectful comment that United are the new Spurs. But I don't think he was. I think he was having a dig at us about our inability to go away from home and get points in tough games. That Spursy thing. But actually, I think there's more similarities in that Manchester United have a weak midfield where their manager seems to be insistent on playing new signings that aren't fitting into the system, don't really make sense, refusal to play other players like Scott McTominay, who could have added more strength and solidarity into that midfield yesterday, a bit more rigour and vigour. Refused to bring him on. 5 subs came on, not one of them was him. Ego getting in the way a little bit. Also a team that are fragile at the back, but always have that opportunity because of their brilliant talisman in Rashford at the top end. They've got some real talent on the break. Does sound a lot like Tottenham last year. Stubborn manager, stubborn tactics, refusal to play certain players, refusal to admit that another player might not necessarily be the best fit for the team, but has to play him anyway. Get out of jail players at the top end of the pitch, but weaknesses everywhere else. It does feel a little bit like Manchester United at the moment. Of course, things could change very easily with 1 or 2 signings, but it does feel a little bit like Man United of this year could represent Tottenham of last. Tottenham, however, look like a team that's well ahead of schedule. The players are buying into this system. And for me, getting back to the point about the fans' reaction after the game yesterday, we stayed behind for 25, 30 minutes partying. It felt like a New Year's Eve party because, on New Year's, you're celebrating the end of one year, the start of another. You've got your resolutions. You can start afresh, wipe the slate clean, go again. You've got all the aspirations and the optimism around what will happen to you in this next period of your life. And I think that the fans yesterday were celebrating not relief like in the Arsenal game, but belief that this club, this team, under this owner, under this manager, can do things. Was it perfect? Absolutely not, guys. During the game, obviously the first 30 minutes were basically Man United's. We started sloppy. We couldn't really get the ball on the floor, and we weren't firing passes. We were nervous. Ange said it. We were nervous. That comes with having such a young age against such a big team. And Manchester United, should have been 1-0 up. Despite great saves from Vicario, obviously you can't ignore the Fernandes header that he absolutely scuffed. And apparently, I still haven't seen the replay, but apparently people are saying that there was a stonewall handball penalty for Man United that was not given by the VAR. That also happened when the game was 0-0. So, game could have gone a completely different way. Then the only negatives I really want to speak about during this particular walk with you is the inability for us to be clever with our aerial threats defensively, and for what it's worth offensively. Man United were winning every single header in our box from corners and from free kicks and from open play in the first half. Every single one. We have a real issue defending air set pieces or defending aerial challenges. It's a worry for me. The only other negative on the day, got to be honest, was Richarlison. Once again, couldn't really get into the game. Kind of felt a little bit petulant as well from where I was sat when he sort of trudged off the pitch. Felt a little bit Ndombele-esque. It wasn't that slow, but you know, I don't know whether he was just sort of trying to suck up the time because we were winning at the point. But you know, he can't buy a goal. There was 1 or 2 chances that fell to him from weird chaos in the box. He just couldn't get his foot on the end of it. And I do worry about his kind of, I feel like he's an emotional, energy, momentum type of player. And a lot of people that want to kind of have faith in him are going to say he just needs 1 goal and then he'll get his confidence back. I don't think he's good enough. Like, that kind of class is temporary, form is temporary, class is permanent vibe. I think you have to reflect on that great players can have low confidence and recover it quickly. I just don't think he is the right player for this system, the right player for our team. And when you compound on that with lack of confidence, then you end up with what you've got. We desperately need something else up the top end of the pitch. I think we also need something else at the bottom end of the pitch just to be reassured defensively, because if Romero or Van der Ven go down, you know, then we need someone of somewhat like equitable quality to be able to feel reassured that an injury is not going to derail our system or our season. Apart from that, it really wasn't any negatives. Vicario, I thought he was absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. He comes across to me like a confidence keeper. He comes across to me like a guy who, if he makes this, if the first shot he's saved, he'll have a worldie. And I'm so pleased that his first home game in the league was such a success for him. I think his season is going to be so important and so reflective of ours. And I thought yesterday he was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Couldn't be happier for the guy. Pedro Porro, I think he's put every single person in the fan base in the mud. Everyone said he can't defend, and he was absolutely sensational. He was sensational getting forward. He was sensational at the back. I do think that his performance was in no small part affected by the reassurance that was offered him in front of him by Pape Matar, who did everything yesterday that Ollie Skip couldn't do against Brentford. That when was asked to protect on the right, the timing of this guy's slide tackles, the ability to cover ground as quickly as he does, daddy long legs. He is insanely gifted with his engine, but it also is aligned with a real eye for a tackle. His timing, his anticipation, his thought processes, the speed of his mind. He's ahead of the game. I think we've got an absolute superstar on our hands in Sarr, and he's only 19 years old, guys. He's only 19. He didn't need to get the goal for me to be still in the man of the match shout. The only other person that was kind of competing with him for it was Bissouma. I mean, this guy has, to me, I knew we had a new signing on our hands with him this season. I was saying it all year. It felt like a new signing if he could come back and fit the system. But I had no idea that he would start the season this well, to this level. It's bonkers to me. And look, I hold my hands up. I was laughing with Ben and Sim yesterday, being reminded of the fact that I was talking about the specificities of the number 6, and I wasn't sure if Bissouma's specificities were better suited as a number 8. And you know what, they might still be, by the way. I think he's that good of a player. He can play the 8 for sure, but he's been asked to play the 6, and 2 games running he has just absolutely bossed it. Like, just levels above the opposition. Casemiro, was barely visible yesterday because Bissouma has the confidence knowing that he's got an inverted fullback next to him, in this case Pedro Porro, who can come in and support, allows him to take a little bit more risk. He's not handcuffed to the defensive responsibilities. He can take a bit more risk because on the rare occasion it goes wrong, you've got that extra player there. And Pedro Porro's got the fitness to be able to get back and defend. He's got a bit more pace than Emerson Royale as well. But with Pape Sarr in front of him, then you've got a bit of protection there as well. That midfield that we've got now, when you think about the fact that you've got the inverted fullbacks to come in and support, it's a bit of a unit. Maddison yesterday, disappointed to hear he left on crutches. Apparently it's just a precaution. I mean, I saw him walking around after the game. Didn't look like he had a limp when he was doing the lap of honour. Absolutely spectacular performance from him again. And listen, if we can keep him fit and Bissouma fit and Pape Sarr, then I made this. I took this hashtag on the way out. Bentancur is going to have a hard time getting into this midfield when he gets back. He won't be Rodrigo Bentancur. He's going to be Rodrigo Benchancur, because he will be on the bench for a long time. You know, Bentancur. Look, it's wonderful to think we've got this guy coming back at some point, but for right now, I don't have any concerns about the midfield. These guys have figured it out already, how to play together, what's being asked of them. They're so far ahead of schedule. It's just massive positives. The only real negative, I guess, guys, it's not even a negative, it's just a concern on an otherwise amazing day, is the front 3. You know, I was talking about yesterday, or all last week I was talking about, Kulusevski. He was so important. He didn't do much on the ball, but he won the ball back 8 times, 8 out of 8 offensive duels, and that obviously stopped 8 more counter-attacks against Brentford. So you can't ignore how important it is to have that asset in the high press. Yesterday it was almost a role reversal. He didn't do anything in that regard. I think he lost 5 out of 5 in the offensive duels, which was really disappointing, but ultimately he was responsible. He didn't get the assist. I don't even think it's counted as a key pass because I think it deflected off of a Man United player before it fell to Sarr for the goal, but he was responsible in no small part for the goal. So, and I think it was clear to me that there was more of a request from Ange Postecoglou by design. Don't cut in as much, to him and to Sonny. Get to the byline more, whip the ball in. And we did that. The only issue was that we didn't really have anyone in the box then enough. Maddison couldn't get to the box into the box in time at the edge, and Richarlison was the only guy in the box, and Man United had 4 or 5 players, so the crossings weren't particularly effective for the most part. So again, it's a work in progress. For what it's worth, I thought Sonny had the better of the 2 forward players, or the best of the 3. I thought Sonny was certainly better than Richarlison and better than Kulusevski. But again, I do think that Sonny still, to a degree, was a little bit. Certainly in the first half wasn't involved. Second half he was much better. I'm not going to sit here and complain, because I think I'll take the result. The performance was spectacular. It's the second game. Something to build on. I don't think anyone got injured. Let's hope that Maddison's not a problem. We've got Bournemouth away next week. Another different style of challenge. They're going to be banked in 5-4-1, so we've got to go back to the creativity. We've got to find that creative figure. And look, I think you need to go and sign Gift Orban, because he doesn't need to be registered as a player this season. He's under 21, so he can sit in the under 21 technical list and still be played. So you can bring him in now and then worry about outgoings. It doesn't have to be for a squad place situation anyway. It doesn't have to be a concern. But guys, we are on cloud 9, I'm guessing, right? To me, 2 players away, and I'm good for our squad for the season. I'll take it. I'm good until January. I'll take it. I'll roll the dice with injuries. We've got to focus on some outgoings, but the pros outweigh the cons by 100 to 1 right now. Super exciting stuff. I'm going to try and do a live stream about 4 or 5 o'clock today to get my thoughts off my chest with you guys. I might even do a fan phone-in show if you guys want to come in and get your thoughts off your chest as well. Guys, hit the subscribe if you don't mind. Hit the follow button if you're watching this somewhere else, and like the video. As always, guys,